I'm Drake. Welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real, metaphysical, and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to be discussing balance in a mage's life and why it is needed in dragon magic. Okay, so on this channel, we have talked about dragon magic a lot. I mean, it's in our name, it's my primary practice. And it's one of the reasons why most people come to this channel. Everyone is interested in dragon magic and how to work with dragons. However, I've been seeing a lot more and more questions about balance. Now, we did a video about balance in general and the dragon's view of it and why that's important. And I'd encourage you to go check that out. But then we also, I've been getting a lot of questions, more and more, talking about why it's or asking why it's important for the magician to be balanced and why they can't just do this thing or that thing and why they need to attempt to balance their life, not just their rituals. Okay. And that's what we want to talk about a little bit here today. Now, in dragon magic, everything pivots on that balance in one way or another. Many of you who've watched this channel has probably heard me talk about the lower rulers and the higher rulers and how in authority, there's no direct difference. However, the difference lies into the elements, the four rulers that are closer to the human realm, the material plane, and are far easier for us to work with fewer side effects than the higher rulers. And the higher rulers are much, much, much more difficult and even considered dangerous. So that's why you won't find a lot of content on the higher rulers here, because they themselves actually had me take a lot of it down until the tools and everything are in place for individuals to start working with them and have that choice, because you got a lot of people who want to jump the basics and go to here and then get themselves in trouble. But the big difference between the two is the balance of the human being, the balance of the mage, the balance of the person. During Dragon Magic 101 and 102, yes, we're going through the basics of beginning to learn dragon magic. Yes, we're going through finding that guardian dragon. We're going through finding that co-magician. We're going through beginning our work with the first four rulers. And we're learning draconic alchemy. We're learning to work with specialty dragons. There's a lot of things we are learning. And one of the things that is happening during these classes and during these workings, if the magician is actually doing the workings and truly examining themselves and doing the homework that's requested, is we're learning more and more about ourselves, who we want to be, and how we want to balance those things in life. And that's the kicker. You can't just hold up in a wizard's tower, isolate yourself from the world, and think you're living a balanced life. You're not. You're hiding from the world and you're hiding from life. That's not a balanced view at all. To live life, you have to live in the world. If your goal is to isolate yourself and hide from everything, then balance probably isn't actually one of the things you're really after, at least in the dragon's view. Balance deals with the pros and cons in all aspects of life, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly. It doesn't matter. Everything has a balance. And the magician, in a dragon magician's perspective and goal, is to interact and take part in all of these in a balanced manner. They want to be the calm, the center, the eye of the storm, if you will. Now, does this mean that even myself, for example, I'm perfectly calm, chill at all times, just like the eye of a storm? No, we all are constantly growing. We're all constantly developing. That's fine. The problem comes in when the magician chooses not to do that. Okay, if you choose a life out of balance and you choose to not work on the things you need to work on, you choose to do things that pushes you out of balance and you choose to remain out of balance, that's where your problem's going to come in. Now, many of you said, Drake, there's a lot of, you yourself said dragons will work with people who are on one extreme or the other. Yes, I did. But there's a difference here. Anyone can do dragon magic. However, if you're not willing to balance yourself any dragon magic you do is not going to be as effective, because the more balanced you are, the more powerful your rituals, your spell working, everything will be in dragon magic, period. Secondly, an unbalanced person can only go so far. An unbalanced individual will never go beyond 102 effectively. Now, I have seen people work their way and struggle really hardly into some of the concepts in 103, but even though they can get there, even though they can begin working with these rulers, there's always going to be a backlash. There's always going to be a kickback. The negatives never outweigh the positives. The very best they've ever been able to hope for is a net zero, where there's enough positive and enough negative that they're balanced. They cannot push past that. And even at that point, they can't achieve half as much as a balanced magician could achieve in those areas. This is the thing that makes dragon magic the hardest, or I should say, this is the hardest aspect of dragon magic, because honestly, most people don't want to take time to work on themselves. They don't want to take time to balance. They don't want to do it. A, it's hard, and B, it's not a lot of fun, so they just don't want to do it. And that is a problem inside dragon magic. And if you really want to take dragon magic as far as you can, you are going to need to work on balancing yourself, whatever that may be. And that really does, in a lot of cases, mean waking up and finding out and facing who you are and what you're doing, and asking yourself what you can do to improve upon that. How can you live a more balanced life? Where are the areas you can improve? And doing them, actively doing them. Now, for people who are not self-motivated, people who procrastinate, this becomes a huge problem, because they may have good intentions, but they just tend to not do. And dragons, they're willing to help us, but they're not going to do it for us. The dragons are not as likely to sit there and bust our balls just to motivate us and get us up doing what we won't do ourselves. And I know that's harsh and it sucks. And it's something that I have come to play, fallen victim to a lot. Because originally, when I started Magic, I was not highly self-motivated. I really didn't care enough to work and improve on myself. And that affected my magic inside Dragon Magic very, very, very drastically. However, constantly working with the dragons, constantly talking with the dragons, they started pointing to different things. Something would go wrong in life, something would be out of place, and they'd point to, well, you know, you chose this and this led to this. And they showed me where the unbalanced aspects were actually causing problems. And as I started to course correct, as I started to work on things, as I tried to balance things better, not only did my life improve, but my abilities in dragon magic did. I started seeing stronger manifestations, faster manifestations, all these things coming in abundance. And it's something we all who decide to practice dragon magic have to do, really, if you truly want to see dragon magic through. As you know, we have Dragon Magic 101 and 102 over at the online school at workingdragonmystic.com. I think I'm losing my voice. And those classes are great classes for getting started in Dragon Magic. 103 will be released soon, probably in the next year. And then after that, there's even going to be one that's called Dragon Magic 104. 103 and 104 require a magician to be balanced. Now, like I said, 103, I've seen people struggle through it, get through the material ineffectively, but they can get through the material and really short sell themselves every step of the way because they won't balance themselves. 104, on the other hand, an unbalanced magician, it's off the table, straight up. The rituals will not work. They will not. And they actually become extremely dangerous for someone who has not actually managed to reach a balanced point in life. And I know balance is tricky. What does that frickin' mean? Well, Look at your life. Look at how your day is going. If every day you feel exhausted, depressed, upset, angry, something is off. Some things we can control, some things we can't. Let's use myself as a perfect example. There was a time when I was between work and whatnot, and I decided I was going to get a job at the Wally World, and I was going to do a little work there, bring a little income, punch the clock, do those kinds of things. I didn't like it. I absolutely hated it. And many days I come home stressed, depressed. It was awful. Then there were days where I'd come home, I'd be happy as a lark. I'd do fine. And during this time, I quickly learned that my viewpoint and perspective on what was happening was one of the larger issues here. It was less the job and more me and my view and what I was allowing to get under my skin. The job's there. The job's going to happen. I'm there. I chose to be there. I could quit. I could go to someplace else. I go stock shelves at Kroger. I could, get a job flipping burgers. There's anything I could have done just to bring in some small income, to fill that in between time, because we were also getting ready up on a big move. So starting a career style thing wasn't really a good option. So it was how to make the best of what was doing. And that's what I started to do. I started to do the best I could do, make the best of my being there. I wanted to be the light for the other people. I wanted to be an asset to my fellow coworkers. I'll admit straight up, I did not like management. I didn't care for management style. There were a few managers there I adored, and I still adore them. They're great people. If I saw them out in town, I'd definitely strike up a conversation, see how they're doing. And then there's others I just could not stand. But I had to work on me. I couldn't change Walmart per se, but I could change me. I could work on me. I could seek to be a better me. And in so doing, not only did I start coming home every day with a much better view of the world and a much happier person, I also started to see drastic positive change that I was having on those around me, coworkers, people in other departments who maybe I just saw in the break room. I became an actual pillar, and a positive influence on those around me just because I started balancing me. Have you ever heard that old adage, you are the culmination or product of the company you keep? This is why you don't want to surround yourself with, or well, you'll say successful people say to surround yourself with successful people if you want to be successful. Because of the habits, the mindsets, the attitude, those things, you start to pick up on them. If you surround yourself with people who complain, they're miserable all the time, you're going to find yourself more and more miserable and complaining. That's true. Well, a magician being able to control the energies around them and their viewpoint, supposedly, if you're actually doing the work and not just reading a book and talking your talk and blowing smoke out your butt, then you should be able to control that energy around you, which means me, magician, going to Walmart, Walmart shouldn't affect me. But I might be able to affect Walmart. And that's what I did. And ever since then, ever since learning that, I have lived that in my reality everywhere I went. When we first moved, when my wife first joined the military, we moved cross country. I had to get a job, and it was at one of the military shopping centers on base. So, nice little thing to fill the gaps until we got settled. But I quickly realized that me driving there and back was costing me more in gas money than I was making. And it also, my personal manager there did not keep to her hiring promise, I should say, which everyone else in the office was really upset about. And they had my back all the way, which I'm grateful for. But I was able to easily just say, you know what? I'm giving my notice. We're done. No, you didn't keep your word, so we're done. And I was able to leave. And I moved on to something else. Weirdly, they still know me there. And this has been 10 years or more. And even the manager I had differences with, looks forward to chatting with me because I was a positive influence. Um, does she regret her decisions in, not keeping her promises? She says she does. And from what I've heard, she's never done that since. So there was an effect. But it was about understanding my time, understanding my resources, and my balance there. Every magician is going to have to find balance in their own way. People keep asking me, what does it mean to balance my life? How do I balance my life? We're all individuals. We're all extremely unique. We all face new daily challenges. But we all have to seek how to balance that ourselves. The biggest key point that I have learned over the years is when something's out of balance, you're finishing the day exhausted, you're finishing the day stressed, you're not exactly happy. You're not feeling fulfilled, you're feeling like you're wasting your days. Something like this. Or you're not being productive, or you don't have the resources to meet your needs. There's all kinds of things that can do it. Some of them are emotional. I know this is weird coming from a logical guy like me, but if you're coming home stressed, pissed off, and miserable and exhausted every day, something's off, something's wrong. It may not be it may not be the job, it may be you. In fact, more likely it's you. Because look at Walmart. I could have left Walmart. That would have been the easy solution. But had I left Walmart and gone to, I don't know, pick something, Kroger, I would still be the problem, which means I could jump from job to job and job and never be happy. If you don't work on you, it's not going to matter. And this is one of the things my grandfather actually tried to teach me years and years ago. He said, a job makes money. You trade your time for money. It ain't about liking it. It ain't about liking the people. You go, you do your job, you come home. You do the things you like at home. You do the things you like on the weekend. He's like, you got to get through life. You got to enjoy life. Job's just one of those things. He tried to tell me, and I don't even think he knew what he was talking about, but I know a lot of old timers. They'd go to work, they'd do their job, they come home. Their work was just there. It's like there was no emotional attachment to it. They didn't care. The place could have burned down around them. They'd have just found another job. They didn't care. They were detached from it, but it didn't affect their life at home. And because of this, they were able to do a lot more at home. They weren't exhausted and stressed out and everything else. Of course, there's plenty of examples of people whose jobs affect them and they bring it home. Okay, so job is just one. This goes for school too. I know that I struggled in school. There were years where school affected me, years where it didn't. And looking back, I'm starting to see the pattern here. Where were things out of balance? Also, your home life can be what's out of a balance, which can affect your job. It's all on us, and we got to figure out how to balance us. And I always make the habit in my life, and I tell my students this too. Look at yourself before you look outward. Always. Don't point blame unless you have fully, detailedly examined yourself. And with me, not only do I examine myself, I usually talk to someone I trust who knows me and get their advice as well, in case, even though after examining myself, I might have missed something. Okay? And you got to balance those. You really do. Are there things in life that suck that will always be there? Absolutely. Absolutely. But once you've figured out what you need to be balanced, it's going to suck, but it's not going to affect you. Okay. You're not going to get stressed or anything. You'll deal with it when you deal with it. And if it's something that, oh man, that sucks, but that's just something that really doesn't affect you. You can't deal with it. It's not something that needs to be dealt with. You're just going to water off a duck's back. And when you reach these points, I've also noticed within every student of mine, and this is actually probably one of the cooler things for me, your life, your quality of life just improves all around. I don't know how to put it in words fully, but it's like their jobs or career improve, their performance improves. Somehow their ability to manage money improves, which, well, we're magicians. We tend to have a good way of bringing our financial needs or prosperity if we're actually good at what we do. which relieves a lot of stress too. And then when you relieve stress, your magic actually works better, which increases that. It starts compounding on itself. Pretty cool. Your relationships improve. Your friendships improve. Just stress, anxiety, all these things start just falling away, because as that balance takes hold and you just live, you become that point of balance, everything becomes so much easier. And that, honestly, I have found, even outside dragon magic, for any person, seems to be true. These teachings that the dragons have been teaching help anyone. Okay? They really do. But man, when you pair that with dragon magic, when you truly dive into dragon magic and you seek to balance yourself, your life, your mind, your body, your spirit, and you apply that to your growth, and your self-mastery and your self-empowerment through dragon magic, sky's the limits. It's unbelievable how incredible it can be. And I know this is probably a weird video for me rambling on about these things, because I'm basically, a lot of people think I'm saying blame yourself for everything. That's not what I'm saying. Things are going to happen. Some of them, your fault. Some of them, not your fault. What you do have some control over, what you do have access to, is how you choose to respond to it and how you choose to spend your time. We all have the exact same time in the day. How do we choose to use it? How do we utilize it? What are our options? And I know a lot of you out there is like, well, I can't make enough money to choose how to use my time. I have to work this. I have to do this. I have to do this. That's true. You do. So what are you doing to free yourself up in the future? Are you making good choices? Are you making investments? Honestly, if I could go back in time, the one thing I would change in my life, not the goods, not the bads, not those experiences, is when I started working on investing and building passive incomes and learning how to utilize money to make money as opposed to trading time for money. I would have started that immediately out of high school if I could have, though many of the tools I use today weren't invented back then. So I'd probably had to wait for those to come online, or I'd had to find another model to get started with back then. But it's doable. Anyone can do it. Even if you're just maybe investing $25 a month when you come out of high school, you give up that one cheeseburger or that one video game just so you can start to build something. It pays off later. So many people these days focus on the here, the now, the immediate. We don't think forward. We don't consider how our actions in the immediate affect us later down the line. Guilty. In live streams, you've probably heard me joke about it, but my mom and dad used to tell me to be good to my body, to take care of it. I would regret it later on down the line. I laughed. I'm silly. I bounced back. I'm not hurt. There's not any joint pain. I heal up. I'm fine. They were right. Many of those old injuries that never felt a thing during or after, I can feel them a bit more now as age comes on. They weren't wrong. You got to think a bit head forward. You got to plan ahead for some things. That is part of understanding the balance. Living balanced now allows you to continue that balance and improve it as you move forward. This can take place in so many ways. So many ways, there's no way for me to actually cover it all in a single video, or even if I talked balance videos for a whole year every week, I don't know that I could cover it all, because we as individuals are so unique, and each of us has our own struggles, our own strengths, our own weaknesses. We all excel in different areas. Many of you know technology is a weak point for me. It's not one of my better areas. I have had to work hard and learn to understand a lot of tech things like cameras and sound and lighting and things like that just to do this channel. I've had to push outside my comfort zone. That's okay. I don't mind doing that. That makes me a better person. Do I get stressed with it? Yes, I do. I won't lie. Just the other day, I bought a new gaming system, and usually my wife sets those up because great technology, you know, but I wanted to get it set up, surprise her with it. So I did that. I spent 2 to 3 hours. The instructions said it takes 15 minutes. 3 hours later, I'm still spewing profanities and cussing at the machine. Now, throughout this 3-hour period, I kept trying to calm myself, center myself, and thinking. And every time I did that, I'd be like, okay, got that. Oh, let's try that. And I would try it, and that would work. And see, I would keep losing my focus and my balance, and that's when I'd stress and start cussing and everything else, and focus just plummet. But I'd have to bring myself back. I got it set up. Took me a while to do it, but I got it set up. And I'm actually kind of proud of that. I'm not going to lie. I am proud that I was able to get that thing start to finish set up, figuring out all the connectors, figuring out where we currently have things connected, and be able to show the wife when she comes home, look, I did it. I didn't break any furniture in the process. Go me. But during that process, I learned that when I'm still at a point where when I work with technology like that, there's still stressor points for me. And I need to work on those stressor points, which means if I get an opportunity to do something like that again, I need to jump into it. I need to face it head on, and I need to work on maintaining that calm and that focus instead of getting wound up. See, that's one of the things I think a lot of us do this day and age. We run away from stressor points. We run away from the things we're not good at. We run away from the things that scare us. We run away from the things that give us anxiety. We run away from the things that stress us. We run away from the things that panic us. Instead of trying to understand ourselves, understand why these things do that, trying to better ourselves, adapt and overcome and improve ourselves as a magician. In dragon magic, that's the whole ideal. If you find something, you face it with the fierce ferocity of a dragon. Dragons don't back down, but they do seek balance in themselves. Consider it. Anyway, I wanted to make this video to try and address this, and I don't know if I did a good job or not. I've certainly tried. I've done a few takes of this video now, so we're going to take this one. Would love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and some of the ways that you have found that you can work toward balance in your life. What are things you've identified that you need to work on? I would actually challenge you to put that in the comments below. If you don't know, take the time, meditate on it, figure it out, find 1 or 2 things, and then drop that in the comments below. Also, consider supporting us over at the workingdragonmystic.com community. Go to workingdragonmystic.com. You'll see the Working Dragon Mystic community tab. Go over there. There's a members section where you can see all the posts that are over there, and then there's the choice to support us. All our supporters get supporter only content, supporter only live streams, supporter only live workshops or classes, if you want to call them that. There is a lot of supporter only content. We are working on building up the supporter community so that we don't have to worry anymore about advertising and all this stuff that may or may not go on when people talk about censorship and crap on the internet. That way we can just do what we do here and share information as best we can share it. Also, if you know people who'd be interested in the channel, share our videos, share our channel, share the community, and share the online school too. The more we can get out there, the more people we can reach, the more people hopefully we can help reach that self-mastery, self-empowerment ideal. And in the end, maybe, just maybe, that'll make the world a little bit better place in the process. All right, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.